Alrighty, so this is more of a just kind of a filler video, basically, before other stuff gets talked about. Afghanistan, I've covered Afghanistan to death. I have covered it more than I have needed to, in my opinion. So I'll wait for the next thing to talk about. Like I say, I'm pretty much just sick and tired of talking about Portland, this and that. This is just more of a fill-in video. We think of wake up sheeple. We think of all these other empty phrases, the idea of hope and change, or these phrases mean nothing. They're empty. They are a babushka doll with nothing in the middle. The fact is that people don't care about phrases. You can fool people enough. I'm going to try to quote, or at least I'm going to try to, misquote Abraham Lincoln, but of course the phrase, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all of the time. And you can fool enough people to make it seem like you're going to change everything and, say the right things, much the same way as guys or girls try to do to get laid, right? They say enough of the good things, they say enough of the right things so that they can get laid or they can continue to be elected. It is not the same. Like I said, this is not the 1930s. This is not, the 1800s or whichever other time frame you want to put it. This is not the Gilded Age. Where it was easier to stay in office for long periods of time. The thing is, of course, is that in general, people just don't give a shit. That's the frank force of the matter, is that what really matters today is, yeah, we have all this information, but ultimately it's filtered into what's popular and what other people are talking about. So it's like, for example, people want to talk about Louis Gohmert and say how bad he is, or Jim Jordan, or whoever else that's a Republican. And it's just like, who cares about these losers? It's just like, oh, wow, they say some stuff that's, wrong or whatever. And, oh, he did this. But then just vote them out. If you really truly believe in democracy, then just vote them out. Or why are people so mad at Kirsten Sinema and all this other stuff? Get over it. If you really love your democracy and you love, like I say, people, I've said this before and I'll say it again, but I think people confuse democracy with electoralism. Those are two different things. Electoralism is an aspect of democracy, but people don't know what the fuck democracy is, so it doesn't really matter. But the thing is, though, these are empty phrases. Just as the same as comments like, wake up, sheeple, you need to join our side. Why aren't white people waking up, to the realities of COVID or whatever the case may be, that it's used to control you and all this, the Jews and all this. It's like, okay. The thing is, though, is that you yourself have already checked out of that, and you would rather just LARP online and have your fake boogaloo type shit where it's just like nothing's gonna happen, like I say. Or even if it does happen, you're probably not going to kill that many people, this and that. I don't know. I feel like we see it's easier for people to see through the bullshit. I'll put it that way. We see through the bullshit a lot quicker now. And it's all just silly, isn't it? Whether it's talking about politicians, whether it's going on and on about Ben Shapiro. I don't care about Ben Shapiro. Or, you know what? I'll even attack myself a little bit here. Going on and on about Vosh or Bo the Fifth Column. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Now, I try to use in some way anyway. I see Vosh and Bo the Fifth Column more as avatars for what people think of as the reformers, right? The folks who control, or at least, influence, I'll put it that way. Control, well, let's be careful. But they influence hundreds of thousands of people. Not quite millions, like I say, maybe Majority Report, or maybe, hell, I don't know, CNN or whatever, but they influence a lot of people. That's why I use them as examples. And I also just think that both of them are hypocrites. And they ultimately, in my opinion, do not hold any real values. They give lip service to those values at times, but ultimately, these are armchair revolutionaries, or they have their security, or whichever, right? But because they have this influence through, just hatred, or just, whichever, right? Through acting, which, anyway, you know what? I'll cut to the chase. It's not a diatribe about them. The fact is, though, is that they influence a lot of people. And they push them down this blue no matter who road. They push people down this whole, let's not talk bad about Joe Biden. All those crazy Republicans and all those crazy far right people, they're just not right. Look at what, it's like the military took all their weapons. Nobody, it's like, yeah, the media is showing all that, but the media is bad. But journalists are still good, though, because the far right opposes journalism today and doesn't like them. They don't like journos. They just see them as jannies. But because of that, we have to hold the position that actually journalism is good when it's our side, when it's like, I don't know, Ken Clipperstein or something like that, or Robert Evans, not the Hollywood film producer, not him, but the Robert Evans of Bellingcat. Wink, wink. For those that know about Bellingcat, and you see all this silly sort of stuff about it. The thing is that, yeah, people are fairly progressive, quote unquote, or at least they give lip service to it. I don't think people are actually that progressive. I think people give lip service to it because it is shown to them on TV, and that is meant to disarm people, whether it's Ellen, whether it's whichever, right? Whether it's what's his name? The one married to the Kardashians. Who cares, frankly? The former Olympic star who, yeah, disgraced himself. But the thing is, though, these are, people are not progressive. They are told to be progressive. And they accept it, but I think once they dig beneath the surface a little bit, then they're like, that's not correct, like I say. And there has to be a lot of whitewashing, a lot of, sort of, let's not talk about that sort of thing, right? For example, I'm just going to go with this because I feel like being wild. I feel like being raw here. But you look at a lot of serial killers, and you'll find out that, some of them being, there's this guy, what is his name? Yeah, Odysee Toole, who was in a gay relationship with another serial killer, and they went around and allegedly they killed millions or hundreds of people. I was going to say millions. Let's be careful now. But the fact is, though, is, they were homosexual. You look at Jeffrey Dahmer. And of course, like I say, this was also used, of course, by, Tariq Nasheed to show how white people, are the ones that really are the gay ones. They're the homosexuals. It's just that was funny as hell, though. I do have to admit that, buck breaking was hilarious. It was hilarious, unintentionally hilarious, with the murals, with the, it's just hilarious. But people do take it seriously. There are people out there that, anyway, but talking about the fact that many killers were homosexual, or Eileen, what's her name, being a lesbian, this and that. And of course, they were abused as, they were sexually abused as children. But people don't like to talk about that, and they'll say, that's there's no correlation. Correlation doesn't equal causation. No, it doesn't do that. That's big. I mean, the argument of correlation versus correlation does not equal causation is basically, well, I got hit, but I got beat by my dad, and I turned out just fine. That's basically what the argument is, in my opinion. Now, of course, people will say, that's bad faith, you're dumb. I know. And you know what? Go ahead. I don't really care. But actually, I do care. But I've come to a point that I'm just like, well, I accept my fate. But yeah, I think it's ridiculous, to say the least, when you hear these phrases, or you hear, these ridiculous notions that exist, and you're just like, oh, really? Okay. All right, then. Like I say, there's no waking up millions of people. Like I say, this whole, that whole idea, that comes from Germany awake, right? Deutschland erwacht, right? Deutschland ist erwacht, and all that, Hitler stuff. But the thing is, though, it's not the 1930s, man. It's 2021. And yeah, you could say that some of these groups have influence in places, but it's not nationwide, I personally think warlordism, I've said this before, warlordism is going to take place far more, and it's going to be based on how much money you can make. It's going to be based on, there's going to be some finesse with it, and there are going to be some folks who give very compelling speeches, but in general, it will be, you join this group or you're going to be killed. That sort of thing, right? And so they feel a loyalty to them, not necessarily out of, a respect for that person, but a respect for what they can give them in terms of their wallets. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say. I know people are going to be like, this is retread Uncle Thomas stuff. And yeah, it is. But maybe I can give some original thoughts, or not. Anyway, this is way too long. I should have cut it a long time ago. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed this. So see you later. Goodbye.